Ta-da! All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dan-A-Plooza. We have an amazing panel of amazing actors. We are very welcome to have everybody here. So allow me to do the introductions, if you may. We're going to go Brady Bunch style. So below me, it is Sonya Thompson. Next to her, we have Stephanie Swift. Next to her, the name that always escapes me because I can't pronounce it is Aleen Isley.
You got it.
Yay!
Way to
and
go.
then yes,
Woo.
and then we've got Patricia Pats, and then we have Ernst Harth.
Hello.
Hello. Alrighty. So now that we have all that for introductions, that is the panel. And for social medias, make sure to follow Sonya Thompson fan page on The Walking Dead, or she was on The Walking Dead. Follow her fan page. Follow Patricia Pat's voice actor Facebook page. You can follow Ernst Harth on Facebook, Aleen Isley on Facebook and Instagram, and Stephanie Swift on Facebook and Instagram.
And that's the scary version, Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
Now,
Yes,
see,
please.
I thought of it as like boo, like hey, you be you, boo. Which I thought was kind of cute, actually.
Hey, boo.
That's what I was thinking. Hey,
That's
boo,
your
what's
Facebook.
up?
Hey, boo. What's
Yes.
up?
Okay. So moving forward, we can move forward. I let the dice roll. So do you want questions? Do you want me to do the honor segment, or do you want impressions? I'm gonna let the panel decide.
I'm good with questions.
Me too.
Alrighty.
Sure. Questions.
All right. We'll hold the entertainment off and let's go into questions.
Hopefully the questions are entertaining, Dan.
They
If
will
not,
be.
then-
They will
Right?
be. They will
Okay.
be.
All right.
You guys are superstars. So let's begin with the questions. I want to know if you have a dream actor or actress that you would want to work with on any project. Who would you pick? And if you guys need time to decide, I'll go ahead and go first. If you guys need time.
Yeah.
Time.
Fine.
All right. I will begin. If I was to act with anybody, if he was still here, it would be Robin Williams. Robin Williams was my favorite childhood actor. I loved him in Aladdin. I just watched Mrs. Doubtfire the other day. Great in 1 Hour Photo. I feel like it would have to be a comedy, and I feel like between him and I, because I sometimes have that energy, it would be who would top two. I mean, obviously he would at some point, but I feel like that's the person that I would work and gel with is Robin Williams.
So I have a Robin Williams story, if you all would like to hear it.
Yes.
Sure.
So when I was a kid, I was Annie. I was the original Los Angeles Annie in 1978 and 79 at the Schubert Theater. And we got invited to a taping of Happy Days. And we used to play baseball with all of those for like charity things. So we get to the taping, and there is this guy. Nobody's ever seen him before. Nobody knows who he is. And he's dressed as like an alien.
Oh,
And it was his introduction episode on Happy Days
gosh.
as Mork from Mork. And he was making those people laugh so hard. I've never seen actors lose it like that. At one point, Ron Howard was literally doubled over, going, "Oh my God, make him stop! Make him stop! I can't do this! I can't do this!" So at one point in the middle of the scene, he stops because they all knew I was there. he stops and he starts singing Tomorrow like Ethel Merman. Tomorrow, tomorrow. It was
That's amazing.
hilarious.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That's a good
Wow.
story.
That's my Robin Williams story.
The introduction
hard.
of that character, that people always forget that show came from, it was a spin-off of Happy Days, because
It's such a different
yeah,
show. You wouldn't think it was. And I don't think they had any intention of making a spin-off. He was just so funny that you had to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still thinking.
So I want to work with Doug Jones. I want to
Doug's
be like
awesome.
a
Oh,
monster.
yes.
I want to be in a monster suit someday. That's like my dream role. So getting to work with Doug or ask Doug all of the questions would be super awesome.
Doug is really
that's my pick.
awesome. Yeah, Doug's a really awesome guy. I always love seeing him every time I get to. So really cool guy.
No, he's been fortunate because he's been able to continue doing that. In my 20s and 30s, that's when I did most of my creature suits and special effects makeup. And I was mentioning earlier that I said to my wife, I don't get brought out for those roles anymore. And she says, yeah, because you were 20 and 30 then. Now there's people that are 20 and 30 going out for those roles. They don't need some guy in his 50s who can barely do a couple takes of something now in those outfits. Like on Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, that was 6.5 hours of makeup and then 2 hours of wardrobe every day. And the
Wow.
wardrobe consisted of just one part of that was I had a 35-pound air bladder stomach that was Velcro to my chest underneath the clothes, but over top of the cooling suit and the fat suit that they had me in. They had this 35-pound air bladder belly that just hung there, but it was sticking out of the shirt that I was wearing, and it had hair. So when I ran, it would jiggle and everything. But and because I'm 6'6" to start with, by the time I had on his miner hat and everything, which had a working lantern in it, I was about 7 feet tall. So to fit better on camera, they would have me like bow-legged, but like very bow-legged. And it's one thing in an audition to when they go, "Can you stand like this?" And you go, "Yeah, I can stand like that." Now do it for 8 hours while you're running.
After 6 hours of makeup.
Well, yeah, but the good thing was that by the time I walked into the studio every day, I was in overtime, and then I'd work 12 hours, So, people forget that, for most actors, it's just like going to the shop and punching your card in and then punching your card out. So when you can go into set, having already been there for 8 hours, it works into a nice day. But yeah, I can't do that. The last film I did was an action movie, and I had to walk on my hands and knees for the last quarter of the movie. And I quickly realized I'm not the kid I used to be. I don't want to do those kind of movies anymore. But no, yeah. I'm still thinking of an actor. Sorry for breaking in. So go ahead.
No, that's great.
No.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
So
I mean,
I think it would be fun to like do some sort of girl like Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and Sandra Bullock and just like a whole cadre of awesome female actors that I admire. That would be a dream job. And they'd all be
Cool.
going, Patricia, who?
Nah, they would treat you just the same.
The best
Well,
part.
Oh, I know they would.
The problem I'm having is because I've been doing this 34 years and because I've worked with so many people that I never thought that I would have had a chance to work with, that, it's like trying to think of a dream person when you're already living on this pile of dreams that you've already had. It's like seems greedy to think, who else would I like to work with? When it comes to those kind of thoughts, it usually heads more towards director. Like, who would I like to be directed by? Whose set would I like to work on? And I think of people like Lars von Trier or someone like Quentin Tarantino, people who are a unique individual alone, just on top of that. And then, Werner Herzog, somebody, the closest I got to be on a film of that sort was on Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman, but that was Bennett Miller. That was his first narrative. He only had directed a documentary, so it wasn't that big of a thrill to be on his film then. The next two films were also nominated for Oscars. So now it would be a big deal to work on a Bennett Miller film because he's 3 films in a row he was nominated for Best Picture. So that's considering he had never done a narrative film. So, but no, I would love to work with some of my favorite directors. As far as actors, any actor that I could think of would be sharing the scene with me and taking less time away from me. So, I'm one of those, I'm the kind of actor when I'm in a movie like The A-Team, which is about 4 guys, and I can think back, there's at least 2 scenes where it's just me on camera. I'm like, screw the fact that it's The A-Team. This is my movie right now. I don't like to steal a scene from anybody. I like to add to a scene. I like, when I like to, my favorite time is when the camera is not on me. I like to have the natural reactions, and the directors have always said they like that too, because whenever they need to cut to something, they have a whole line of reaction shots from me that I didn't even know that I was giving, especially when it's from like a master shot or something. But no, I joke, there's tons of people, but I feel like I've worked Philip Seymour Hoffman, getting to be directed by Lawrence Kasdan. There's so many dream people that I could come up with that I've already worked with that it just feels selfish to want to work with more. But then, I haven't worked in 3 years.
So basically what he wants to do is do a 2-hour movie starring just him.
Directed by me.
Directed by you, written by you.
Well, the last feature that my producing partner and I did, which is still not been released, but we did it in 2018. He and I were the only crew. We had 35 actors, but he and I were the only crew. So I'm halfway there. Now I just need to put myself in front of the camera as well.
Oh,
and then
there you go.
Away I go. But then I can't really complain about self-tapes then. It would just be a 2-hour self-tape.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Well, I always thought it'd be cool to work with Lily Tomlin or Reba McEntire. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Lily Tomlin, and I'll never forget her being in that big chair, as the little girl, I think that was Saturday Night Live, right? Laughing. Yeah, that's what it was. And so in the 70s, I remember that specifically, and I've just always loved her as a comedian and actress. And Reba McEntire, I mean, gosh, I'd love to be on stage singing with her, but it would be phenomenal to get to work with her. And me already having my Southern accent, I think we could really do some cool scenes together.
Nice.
I used to love watching Edith Ann.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's classic.
My name is Edith Ann, and I am 6 years old.
It was classic, I mean, I'll never forget it for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Good choice.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I always have. I was a huge Seinfeld fan, and I think anything she does is just gold. She can play the serious roles. She can play the comic roles with ease. She just seems like someone who's a genuinely nice person too. So that's the thing, is who do I want to have a scene with or act with that I think I can trust, because they're not going to be such a diva or such a, like a ego that they can't even go to a level where it's like, hi, who are you? I have the scene with you. I don't really care to share whatever the emotions are that we need to bring. But I think that would just be amazing to have that opportunity. And for, we'll say, male actor, I would say it's a close like tie between, I've always loved Morgan Freeman. I mean, I think he just has such a wealth of knowledge, and he's so natural in that voice. The voice, oh, it's like butter. I love it. It's so amazing. Like, just amazing. Yeah. And I don't care. What is he now? Like 80, 81 or 2? I don't know. But I still think he's got it. Like, there's some actors that can just keep on going, and they have such a storied career. Now I've been watching The Sopranos lately, and I've been really getting into, well, season 5 is what my husband and I are on right now. And I love James Gandolfini. I mean, I had a crush on him back in the 90s or early 2000s. And I just thought he was perfect for Tony Soprano. So if I could like share a scene in The Sopranos with him, I mean, obviously can't now, but if I could have, that would be something too. Cause I'm loving the show right now, and I'm really into that. So those would be 3 that I would pick right now. So there's just a lot of great actors out there too. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick, actually. Yeah.
It really is. It's very hard to pick because I mean, there's a lot of other people I could probably sit here and think of. I mean, it'd just be honored just to work with them. And like you said, directors too. I mean, when I got to work with Frank Darabont, I was just so honored. So it's really cool when you get these opportunities to work with people that you have admired, and then to find out that they're actually humble and down to earth and people that you can talk to. It makes a lot of difference, because I have worked with those people that are kind of divas, or they don't want to give you the time of day. You try to talk to them or cut up with them or whatever, and they're very stoic and just sort of like do that with their eyes, roll them and just go on, and you're like, okay, well, it's just work. Okay, Sonya, just do your job. You're getting a paycheck.
I worked with Leslie Nielsen, and I had probably about a 15-minute one-sided conversation with him. We were sitting at the director's chair, and he's sitting next to me, and it was probably 2 minutes, but it in remembrance, it felt like I'm just talking and talking and talking, and all of a sudden he looks at me, pushes his ear, which he was turning his hearing aid back in, and said, "Did you say something?" And that was how I found out that he wore hearing aids. So it's the people who don't get the chance to find out that the person is deaf. They just walk away from that and they go, "Oh, so-and-so, he's a miserable person. He's the worst person on set. Doesn't even talk to you. I talked to him and he wouldn't talk back to me." But until you find out that, they're deaf, and then everything's fine. But I found in the past that the people with the biggest attitudes are the hotshots who've got like one credit. They just like shot out of nowhere, and they were on reality TV or something, and now they're all of a sudden super big, and they show up on set, and they're usually the ones demanding things. They're usually the ones wanting everyone to treat them special. The people that you would think deserve to be acting like that are usually the most down-to-earth people. The biggest star you can think of is usually the person who invites you into their trailer so they can tell stories of the golden years. That's the kind of past I've found. The younger the person with the least amount of credits, usually I find sometimes have the biggest attitude, especially on the youth-oriented shows where they've done a couple credits, but because they've been on one show and a million people have seen them, they're superstars on Instagram, and so they show up on set. And the funny thing is, when you're and this is a word I hate, but when you're a local hire, I love it because you show up on set and every crew member and every side actor that's there has worked with you for the last 30 years. So you walk on set like, you're the king of the world and everybody knows you. And then you get these 2 stars standing there usually, and they're like, "Who's this guy?" They're the newbies. Nobody's really talking to them, and everybody's talking to me because we've worked together for 30 years, because it's usually always the same crew on shows if you're in a specific area. And then if you're I hate that word again, local hire. It drives me insane because it's like it usually comes with your name. It's like local hire, see Ernst, that's the problems of not living in the main city wherever anything is going down. You're always the secondary. But
where do you live?
I live in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, okay.
So when stuff comes up here to shoot, I've got a good career for here, and then people will be like, I don't know, I never heard of you. And he's like, well, let me show you my 3 pages of credits, because you don't realize when you first started in this industry. I started in 90, and Vancouver was just starting to be a popular place to shoot, because X-Files came here in 92 or 3, I think. And that's when things took off. But even before that, Wise Guy and 21 Jump Street and all those shows that Stephen Cannell had been shooting in Vancouver. So when that first came out of nowhere, we would be going for guest star roles and going for the big supporting roles, until they realized that actors have no problem going on a trip. They'll come up to Vancouver, and then all of a sudden the parts get smaller. But the same people were complaining about runaway productions. So either they productions, what you realize is the productions don't care about the actors. They just care about how much money they're going to spend, and then hopefully there's some actors available when we get there.
Yeah.
You're just a commodity after a while.
Yeah. Well, so for a long time, I worked for talent agents as well as being an actor. And so I got to see this interesting transition from, I would look at a breakdown, and part of my job was to look at it and decide which one of our clients would be right for it. And then I would hand it over to my boss, and she would go over it. And so I started seeing these breakdowns that would say, here's our star, and this person's already cast, and this person's already cast, and these are all the people that we're looking for. And it would say scale only, scale only, scale only through the whole thing. And then once they got through those submissions, if they didn't find somebody that they wanted, then they would put out a single thing and say, okay, we're looking for so-and-so's boyfriend, and he can have $5,000. Okay, now send me your $10,000. Okay, now send me your $20,000. Mm-hmm. And you had to write on the picture what their amount was. And man, it went from being something that you could actually make a living at to, I knew a lot of actors who had been doing stuff for years, and suddenly they were back being waiters, and they were like, what's going on? It's really, it's kind of sad, because there's a lot of really great actors out there, and they should be paid accordingly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I had a question. I just kind of want to know what everyone's favorite role has been since acting. But if Ernst, if you had something to add, you can add. But I wanted to get that question.
No, that's fine. I was just gonna. No, that's fine. Okay, let me think of that now. I still haven't really given him an answer to the first question.
It'll be 10 o'clock at night. I got it.
Well, I guess I will answer this second question. My favorite role that I've done was on a web series called The Lumber Baron of Jasper County. And I was in season 2 and season 3 of that, and I played a tomboy named Sam. And they based the character on Ralph from Green Acres. So I had my hat around backwards most of the time, and I got taught like a redneck. And so it was a lot of fun. I had the most fun I've ever had. I got to channel my inner redneck from my family. I'd think about all the reunions, and then I'd talk like that. So it was it was really cool. I mean, I really did. It's still my favorite role that I've done, because I did get to really lay it on thick and make my Southern accent even more Southern and redneckish than what it already is. So, but I did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with that role. It was my favorite.
Well,
Next.
okay, I will help. I will help. So I'm stuck between two. I can't really pick. But I like being the bad guy a lot. So my role for Karis Hell 2 as Ilsa, the leader of our Nazi gang, was pretty iconic. I actually spent time, this is so uncomfortable, but I spent a lot of time studying video reels of like Hitler and such giving speeches, because the man was evil, but he was a good public speaker, and I wanted to like emulate that in the speech scene of that movie. So there was a lot of research there, but being an absolute like shit that nobody liked was really fun. Like watching the movie in screenings and seeing everybody boo as I like hurt the little kid character was fantastic. And then our newest movie, Curtains for Christmas, being like the Hallmark rom-com girl gone bad, is fantastic. It was a really fun role, getting to play a little bit of the crazy gal, but also the love-struck gal at the same time. That's me.
For me, I was going to say, my 30 whatever years is mostly been on camera, and I've always wanted to do voice work. And I finally got I've done auditions, but I never got booked on anything. And I finally had a really nice audition for a character, and I got booked in it. And it wasn't really until I started looking into it. There's a series of cartoons that have been around the world since the 50s called Asterix and Obelix. And I got to play Obelix in two big $80 million CGI like Pixar type films, but made in Belgium. They were released in French because that's what the comic series is. And then I was the English voice for the English soundtrack in the rest of the world. And then 4 years later, they did a sequel, and I just got a call from my agent saying, "You're doing the sequel," because they liked what you did for the English language on the last one. And it's like I went from never doing voiceover to being the lead in two films that have played in like every country in the world, some in the theater, some on streaming and DVD. And it's like, and then I've never done voice work again. It's like, so I guess if I never do voice work again, that would be that would have to be the for me the greatest thing, to be playing an iconic character, especially when I never got to do voice work, and then got to play him twice when I never even thought I would have gotten to play him once. And then I find out after I played him, Jason Simpson, who's a voice actor, I think he's on Dragon Prince right now on Netflix. He's one of those guys that does like 10 characters in each show kind of thing. And he said to the voice director at his audition, he said, "I know he doesn't do voice work." He said at his audition for Obelix, he says, "I know he doesn't do much voice work, but you know who would be perfect for this character?" He says, "See Ernst." And the voice director says, "Yeah, he's in next."
That's great.
And then I see him on camera, and at that point, I looked just like him. I had the same mustache and the same thing. And when I was doing the recording, the client came in, and they saw me voicing the things and didn't even realize that I was doing the same motions in the recording booth as the character, because that's the thing when you're doing ADR, the thing's already been created, so you're having to recreate the words, and sometimes it's just easier to recreate the whole motion, the whole scene that he's doing. And all of a sudden I see some lady from France on the other side of the glass taking all these crazy pictures, and just because she just got blown away about how much I looked like the character I was playing. So fingers crossed for a third film.
Right.
That's awesome. I mean, for me, I think that probably my first role that I am most proud of, or I should say that I think that was most like myself is I'm truly like a big nerd, and I love anything sci-fi. I love neuroscience. I love all that stuff. So for me to play a psychiatrist, it was actually a school psychiatrist for Orrstown State in Massacre Academy, because I was wearing these like big glasses as Dr. Brady and like kind of talking with a voice like this. And, that it was also, is she the villain kind of question. If you've seen it, I think Dan, you saw it, but
Yes.
is she the villain? And that kind of like Aleen was saying, I loved that part of the character, and I wanted to embrace something like that. So that would be my first role that I'd say, was most like me, but also kind of different in terms of that. But then I got to play the matriarch, and it's not yet come out. It's called Treaters. So that first one was Massacre Academy. This next one is Treaters. And the filmmaker has me in full scale makeup. So it was like a 2.5 hour process of the prosthetics and like dripping the wax and doing the whole like spraying on the layers and kind of putting in the contacts and the piranha teeth, and you can hardly even hear my real voice through all that because it was like really hard to talk. So then they just modulated my voice as the matriarch. So whenever I see it now, because they're almost in the post-production, they're wrapping up some filming and then post-production, I don't even know it's me. So the chameleon character is kind of like my favorite type of role, so that you don't know that it's me. Because Dr. Brady, there's some people that say, wait, that was you? And I said, yeah, the glasses and the hair being all like frizzy and crazy. Yeah, that was totally me. And I like those kind of roles. They're a challenge because they are like me, but they're also contrary to my actual nature. So those would be like two that I would say off the bat. But more villains. Yeah, that's what I want to do. We could all be the villains.
Right.
Okay. Patricia, do you want to go ahead, and then we'll wrap it up after?
There's such a difference between doing theater and voiceover work. I love the day in, day out process of theater. But Peppermint Patty she's such an iconic character, and to be going to Comic-Cons all these years later and getting to meet with fans and starting the podcast that I've started, all of that, the more I learn about Charles Schulz, who we all called Sparky, and the work that he did, and the quiet political stuff that he did, that most people don't even know about. I'm so proud to be a part of all of that. That has to be my favorite.
Alrighty. Well, that has been the Dan-A-Plooza acting panel. I am now going to honor each one of you. I want to honor each one for their talented vibes. So I want to first nominate Ernst. I want to thank you for being on Dan-A-Plooza. Thank you for being such a great guy. We enjoy you in Scooby-Doo. We enjoy you in Say It Isn't So. Lots of great movies. He was also in the movie. It's on Paramount Plus. Help me with the title.
Crawl Space.
Crawl Space. Check that out. That's also available. So we want to support that. And let me know for your merch, because I want to pick up one of your 8x10s and show it on Dan-A-Plooza. We want to honor Patricia Patz. I've always loved Charlie Brown. I thought you were going to call me a sly dog earlier, so I was waiting for that,
You sly dog.
You sly dog. Yeah. And I was going to be like, wah, 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 wah. And so I really want to thank you. Check out her podcast and support her. I would love to have you back, Patricia, if you're interested.
I would love to.
Thank you. We would like to also honor Sonya, our talented zombie walker friend. I know she's having a little audio issues right now, but we like to thank her for all she's done. She's been on Dan-A-Plooza, and we just love her, and we want to hear more of her great acting talent. Follow her fan page. We also want to honor Stephanie Swift, my good friend Stephanie. How many times have we talked to each other? Too many to count.
At least 3, but we'll
at
say
least
more.
3. But
Yeah.
we're going on 4. It's. But we love her. Check out her movies. Her husband Rick has been on the show. Wonderful, talented people. And then finally, Aleen Isley, who I'm now getting the name right. We'd like to, yes. Woo, Dan got it right. We would like to thank her. She's been on the show the most. Her husband, Steve Ruzinski, is a great filmmaker, very, very talented. So we'd like to thank her and all her talents. She's been on here many times. I respect all of you. I'm glad you're here for one another. We want to create opportunities. I want each and every one of you to succeed. So I honor you. I thank you for being on Dan-A-Plooza. You're amazing. Take a round of applause and a bow because you're amazing people. So, yes. All right. I'm going to end Dan-A-Plooza right now, and you guys have a good night. Anyone who wants to stay and talk